ease of reference. So let's get into the discussion. Today we want to discuss what's the name now? We just want to discuss about tax. Really, we want to discuss about tax. But first, let me click on.
Okay. So for context, I want to find out, is this the first class or we had a session last week?
No,
Well, some of us are just joining today.
This is the first class for context. That's why I'm doing introduction.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
You're welcome. So let's first introduce ourselves to the course. So this is taxation.
Sir, please, I want to ask, can we all get like a course outline of what you'll be taking us?
That's what I want to type.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Agnes, your name sounds a bit more familiar. Please go ahead. Agnes, please go ahead. Okay. I would assume that was a mistake. So the first thing to discuss is introduction to taxation. Right, then we'll discuss about tax administration in Nigeria. Then we'll be discussing about basic ethical issues in taxation. Then after that, we should be looking at basis period. Right, after that, we'll be looking at capital allowances. After that, we'll be looking at loss relief. We'll be looking at after that, we should be looking. Are you with me, please?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
sir.
So after
Yes,
this
sir.
loss
Yes, sir.
relief, we'll look at taxation of individuals. Another the taxation of individuals, you should be looking at things around personal income tax. That's the introduction. After that, we should be looking at taxation of employees, taxation of sole trader, taxation of partners in partnership, trust, settlement, and estate. And then when you look at those things, then we can now go to number, all of these things. This actually, you are going to see it either in your number one question, any of these five, or between one, let me just say between your 1 to 4. This is going to be there. At least you should see at least 2 of these topics. If not, 2 of these topics should be between your 1 to 4. Yeah. Then after that, you're looking at taxation of investment income, then tax accounting and reporting. Then after that, you should be looking at your taxation. Sorry, beg your pardon. What I like to call transaction taxes. But under transaction taxes, you have your value added tax, withholding tax, and the custom and excise duty. right? After your custom and excise duty, then we'll be looking at taxation of companies. And then we'll be looking at taxation of specialized businesses. Then after that, we'll be looking at impact of IT on taxation. After we'll be looking at stamp duties, should be somewhere around there. After that, we should be looking at tax accounting and reporting. And we're able to do all of this, then we are done with tax. Basically, we are done with tax at the point at which we're able to satisfy our conscience regarding the following. Is it clear, please? Do we get what I'm talking about to an extent?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, I don't know if I
Okay.
can make a personal request. That's
Yeah.
by the side. It might not be part of what you want to teach us, but can you just explain the new tax policy that was signed, or the new tax that was signed? That's by the side, sir.
I should do it.
Then why? And what also?
I didn't get what you said. Please come again.
Okay, sir, please, can I? Okay, so the person is asked. Funny enough, I was going to ask the same question, but mine would be that these outlines or what you're about to run us through, does it have does it put to consideration the new tax regulation or the new tax amendment? So that is what the person is trying to ask, I believe.
Oh, okay. So to bring that into context, yeah, to bring that into context, your tax reform bill will take effect from January. I do not think it is wise for any examiner to test a question before its application date. Make sense? I do not think it's wise
Yes, sir.
for
Can you
examiner
hear
to
me now?
test before its application date, right? I sent some notes to you, but what I will try to do is, for the sake of information, right? For the sake of information, I will always make sure that what you do, right, or what we do incorporates anything that the new law is trying to bring in place, right? So for the sake of our discussion, I will always discuss with you to ensure that, okay, the new tax law adjusted this part, adjusted this part. So, but for your level, you're at a very, very, very dangerous end. Dangerous in the sense that we do not expect it to be examined, but at the same, because there are two things that makes it non-examinable. Laws are not permitted to be texted until 6 months after its enactment, right? So your exam is November. It was signed in June. June expires. The duration expires in December. That's one. Number two is that even the law we are talking about here will not come into, will not see the light of day until January. That means will not start its application until January. So that said, two things, it will not be, that's to tell you that it's not going to be examined. However, I understand the fear that students typically have. So, and even for, it's not even ideal for us to teach you what will not be obtainable in practice, in reality. So to guide against those things, so we have said that we will always communicate any difference that this thing, the new tax law is making, to the notes that we have already in the class. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Of
sir.
course, sir. Yes, sir.
All
Yes,
right.
sir. Thank you.
So,
That's what I just want.
okay. All right. Any other question before we move on? So let me first introduce you to what tax is, right? Let me just introduce you to what tax is. I sent some notes to you. Have you seen them?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Also, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Trying to make sure that. Hold on. Just trying to make sure I give you all the things you need at once. What I beg. Did you see the updates? Please, everything I'm sharing with you, just try to download it as once you get. So I won't have to hear stories of resend, please resend, please resend. I do not like to resend documents. All right. Makes sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's get into it. So what is tax? What is tax? Yeah. Miracle. Miracle. Okay, Dixon.
Okay, from my own point of view, I'll define tax to be a compulsory contribution imposed on citizen, either individual by the government. Thank you.
Okay. You said tax is a compulsory payment imposed on people, right, by the government. Okay. Do you have any other person? Yeah, I have Adasa.
Good evening. So
Good
tax is a
evening.
compulsory levy imposed by the government through its agents on the income of citizens or properties.
Imposed by the government through its agents on possibly income or properties. That's is a good one there. All right. Let me take one more person. Happiness. Or move on. Happiness, yeah. Happiness. Okay. I think that was a mistake. Beatrice.
Hello, sir.
Beatrice. Yeah, please go ahead.
I would say tax is a compulsory levy that's imposed by the government through its agents on individual income, capital, as well as companies on the income of
Income,
individual.
capital, or companies. Income, capital, or companies. Okay, that makes sense. All right. So, do you have one more person who wants to attempt before I give my own explanation? Yeah, but again, all of you are on the way. All right. So, Maria,
Yes, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Tax is a compulsory levy that is imposed by the government on its citizens, and it's also imposed on companies. And then this tax can be imposed on the citizens in the country or citizens outside the country but are running their business within or in the country.
Okay. So it is either paid by residents or non-residents,
Yes, sir.
right? It's paid by residents or non-residents. Residents in the context of those living in the country, non-residents in the context of those who do not live but have business in the country. All right, that makes sense. So I think it's a good one there. All of you have you've displayed a good understanding of um, taxation. But just to bring into context, I would say that, right, tax is a compulsory levy imposed by the government on entities, that's either individuals or companies or corporates, right, on a tax base which is or let me just say based on a tax base, based on a tax base. Tax base here could either be income, capital, or assets, for which there is no direct benefit expected by the taxpayer, for which there is no direct benefit expected by the taxpayer. So that brings us into one context that it is compulsory that everybody must pay, right? But there is no corresponding benefit that the taxpayer expects from paying such taxes. Do you understand me to an extent?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
that
sir.
means that in reality, when you pay your taxes, you do not expect anything in returns for the tax that you've just paid. You do not expect anything in return for the tax
Hello,
you've
sir.
just paid. That's, yeah, go ahead.
What you wrote is different from what you're saying. Like for the benefit
You just
aspect.
put there is no. You just put the no. It's a typo.
All right, I've actually adjusted it. Thank you. For which there's no direct benefit expected by the taxpayer. All right. So what are the objectives of tax? Objectives of taxation. So now, what is the first objective of tax? Does somebody want to help me? Or what do you think are the purposes, objectives of imposing tax on people?
Number one,
Can you help me? Yeah,
revenue
number one.
generation.
Good, to generate revenue. That's it. That's a very, very good one. One, revenue generation. And in fact, one of the reasons why the new tax bill was introduced is to also introduce the idea of progressive tax system where the rich pay more taxes than the poor. And with that, you would have a lot of people who fall into the tax net, right? And you have also what's the name now? Commensurate exemptions for those who are below the income pyramid, those who are considered poor. That's one of the purposes for the tax reforms that are being going on, right? And also we believe that the next few days, tax should be one of our major source of revenue, just like some other advanced country. We want to move beyond what's the name now? We want to move beyond oil revenue to tax revenue. So that said, now, do we have any other thing you want to tell me?
To reduce income inequality.
To reduce income inequality. All right. To reduce income inequality, what you are actually saying is that there should be no difference between the poor, rich, and the poor. So what we are saying is redistribution of income.
Sir, this second objective,
Redistribution.
does it really play in the real life scenario?
Yeah. What is it?
I said this second objective, does it really apply to the real life scenario? Because I can't really see that this redistribution of income.
Yes, it does.
Okay. So again, just imagine that it does really. Just imagine that only the rich will have to use good road. Only the rich will have access to power. Only the rich will have access to education. Imagine how miserable life would be for the poor. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So when we get taxes, we use that to build schools that everybody can attend at least. Imagine if only the poor can go to university. Many of us will not be somewhere even near our distance these days now. But again, there's redistribution of income, right? Such that the income net is redistributed and everybody is able to enjoy, basically, to enjoy the government. Or are you not enjoying the government? Maybe that's what I should ask.
I reserve my comments, sir. I reserve my comments.
Not really, sir. I
I'm
comment.
not enjoying the government.
To be honest, you would agree with me that you're enjoying the government, to be honest,
No, sir.
because to be honest, you're enjoying the government. The reason is this. Come to think,
I'm not
mute your
enjoying
mics,
the
please.
government because I afford most of my stuff, the education that you're talking about. In fact, I am not enjoying the government. I afford most of my electricity in this country. You just have to be off yourself or you find yourself somewhere else.
Okay. Let me explain. You will agree with me in the next couple. Did you go to a private university or private university? Mute yourself. We're not speaking.
Private. And my parents paid.
Because you chose to, actually, because you could have gone to public university. So you are even above the income pyramid. That's what we are talking about. So you are above the income pyramid. You are above the ladder, Abi. So do you have anybody who attended the public university on this call? I attended the public university. So
Yes. Public
so some of
university we go.
eh?
Which public university
How are
now?
you with the public
I also
university
attended the
goers?
public
I
university.
attended the public
Public
university.
university.
Don't worry, you don't let me cast myself yet. But to be honest, I went to public university.
In as much you live in a society where you sleep at night and you're able to wake up this morning without forget all these insecurities and all of that. You are enjoying the government. Thank you.
To be honest with you,
That one I've got that work, not the government. That is a big lie.
Gegam.
You don't say it out.
Which go and live in Boko Haram area and say this one you're saying. Can you imagine? Which government?
but to
Don't
be
mind.
honest,
Can I say something? Sorry.
to be honest with you, if you live in Lagos, for instance, and then you see how good Third Milan Bridge is, at least for me living in Lagos, I would say I enjoy the government. The electricity I use is subsidized, to be honest. Up until Tinubu came in, the electricity I use have always been subsidized. Just imagine if I have, even till now, it's still subsidized because you can't compare using that with using generator. Using electricity with generator, you can't compare it. It's just the environmental pollution it causes and all of that. So Although I understand Nigerians, we are Oliver Twist guy set of people who always ask for more, right? But notwithstanding, I think the government is doing well. Can they improve? Yes, they can. But to an extent, they are doing very well. I went to a public university and I can still say that at least I'm teaching people. That's true that truly I went to university. Abby? So that's that. So let's
You are very correct,
move to the
sir.
next point. Yeah. Let's move to the next point. So the
Sorry,
next
sir,
one, who
please.
wants
I
to
want to
give me
comment. Can we?
One of the objectives is to
what
discourage
do
Hello?
you say?
demerit goods. Another objective is to discourage consumption of demerit goods.
To reduce the consumption of what?
Demerit goods,
Okay,
such as
yeah, that's correct.
secret.
The consumption of some items. Please beg your pardon, just a minute.
Sir, you're muted.
He's not muted. He said excused. Took permission.
Why this one?
All right, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So again, you are saying that it helps to reduce the consumption of demerit goods, right? So let me give an example of that tax that does that. An example of that is you have what's called luxury tax, right? Luxury tax is tax imposed on some luxury items, some items considered to be luxury, right? Some items considered to be very luxury. For instance, you have your wine, champagne, some high-end jewelries, some mansions in high-brow areas of Lagos and Abuja, and stuff like that. So to reduce consumption of that kind of items, we have some tax imposed on those kind of items. Also, because we want to reduce importation of this thing, of many items, we increase the import duties on so many items. So you are correct. One of the reasons for tax is to reduce consumption of some items. All right. Who else want to give me one other gist before we move on?
To control inflation.
To control inflation. Oh, tax is a fiscal document and it is a fiscal tool anyway, but it doesn't really impact inflation. There's no direct correlation between tax and inflation, right? Because you remember that inflation is when there is more money chasing fewer goods, right? But taxing to an extent is predetermined, so it doesn't really control the money in circulation. It is this direct government this CBN policy, open market operation, and interest rates, regulation of interest rates that actually has a direct correlation with inflation. But I do not think that tax has a direct correlation with inflation, because again, you cannot just be changing tax rates periodically, right? It's a fiscal tool and it has to be done on a periodic basis. Does that clarify to an extent?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it
Yeah,
does.
Josephine.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Sir, economic stabilization, sir.
Okay, stabilization, economic stability. That's why I would just want to change that one to mean that to encourage economic growth and development. To encourage economic growth and development, because at least at the end of the day, we expect that any income that the government has is expected to improve income, right? Are you with me now? And ultimately, to provide social amenities to the people, to provide social amenities to the people and improve the standard of living. Does it make sense? Are you enjoying the class to an extent?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir, it does make sense.
Okay, good. Now, you see that this life is not balanced. I've not done anything different from what I did in the morning. No. Network is good now, but it was horrible during peace and everybody was complaining. This life not just balanced.
Hello.
All right.
Hello, sir.
So,
Hello.
It is my
yeah, please go ahead.
network. Nobody can hear me.
I can
Okay.
hear
How
Okay,
if you are
can
do
you
we
speaking.
hear
balance
me?
this?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I want to throw light on number 2. I don't know. Progressive rates, like
On number,
the tax rate, does it come in? Number 2 on the objective, redistribution of income or wealth. The tax rate
I can hear
whereby
you.
the rich pay higher. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you at least.
Okay, I'm speaking on number 2.
I can hear you. Please go ahead.
The redistribution of income. Does progressive rate comes in whereby the rich pay higher than the poor? That's what I want to find out.
You
Does
may
it
want to
come
use
in
the
there?
chat room. Then somebody can assist me to read whatever you write in the chat room. The praise
Sir,
network
she
is
said,
by rubbish.
sir, can you hear us? Can you hear me?
Hello, I can hear you. I can hear you. Please
Yeah,
go ahead.
she said that number 2, the objective of that, the point 2, that does taking more tax from the rich and taking less tax from the poor comes in. I think that's what she was trying to ask. Progressive tax.
The network is not
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
great.
Okay,
Can somebody else
I mean,
help us speak for him so that, or is it
hello,
my
please, the
network?
person that asked the question, can you hear me, please?
Yes, I
Hello.
can hear you. Yes, I can
Sir, it's
hear
your
you.
network.
Okay.
It's the
Okay,
network.
please
It's the
pardon
lecturer's
me. I am
network.
not the please pardon me. I am not the lecturer, right? But
Can I
that is
come
what
again with my
actually
question?
your question is clear. Is a lecturer that I did not hear you. I think his
He's
network
Okay,
is
not.
not
His
okay.
network
poor.
is
Thank you.
his network is not good, so he's not hearing you.
So that is permit me. I'm not the lecturer, right? So I'm subject to be corrected as well. So that is what redistribution of income is. So just similar to the current tax reform in place, where the rich are meant to, or people that are earning higher are meant to pay higher taxes compared to the guys, to people that are earning lower, right? So it's just like when we get more from the higher earners, then we use it to create social amenities, public goods that everybody can benefit
Yeah.
from. That is so that is redistribution of income.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to confirm that. Thank you very much.
Just continue now. You have done well.
Hello, please, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir,
Can you
we
hear
can
me?
hear you, sir. You that said I should continue, you are wicked. Me, we don't know anything. All of us, they
Okay.
class. Oh.
If to say I know, I for no praise this network. Oh. Please, can you hear me? I can hear you. If you can hear me.
Yes, we can
We
hear
can
you,
hear
sir.
you.
Yes,
Please
we
go
can hear
ahead.
you.
Okay.
Can hear you, sir.
We can hear you.
All
Can
right. Somebody was
continue.
asking a question. I don't know if
It has been
I
answered.
wasn't able to hear the question anyway.
It has been answered. She's okay.
If you can be more audible, I will appreciate.
So I think it has been
The question
answered.
has been
Just go
answered.
ahead.
Can proceed.
Okay. Okay. No problem. So again, that's about that. So let's look at some other some stuffs here, some concepts in taxation, some concepts in taxation. But before we look at the concepts, those concepts in taxation, I think it's important for us to look at some principles or what. So let's look at some principles of taxation or what you would like to call canons of taxation. But we do not want to call it canons of taxation because canons of taxation was first introduced by Adam Smith, but there's a lot of adjustments that have been made right to that canons, to those principles, right? In fact, the National Tax Policy 2007 gave us a more broader or a broader perspective to principles of taxation. So let's look at it from a holistic point of view. From principles of taxation, what we are typically saying is what are those underlying rules, underlying guidelines that you would say must be inherent in a good tax system. That's what we are talking about. What are those things that those guidelines, those basics, those principles that you must always find in a good tax system? Number one is called certainty. Number one is certainty. What is certainty? We are saying that you should be able, are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You should be able to, a taxpayer must be able to predetermine his tax. Taxpayer must be able to predetermine his tax, right? So that's why we said that it's not really a good tool of controlling inflation, because again, inflation could be as a result of many factors, say FX volatility, say many goods in circulation, little goods in circulation, say many there's a lot of money supply and all of that. So if that is that, you cannot use tax as a very good tool to control that, because one of the guidelines of tax is that you must know the tax you must be able to pay. So the tax rate is supposed to remain constant over the period, at least over a reasonable period of time. Not that today you pay 10%, tomorrow you pay 20%, next tomorrow you pay 5%. No. The tax rate, a good tax system you must be able to know how much you want to pay, who you are paying to, when you are paying. Does it make sense? You must be able
Yes.
to
Yes,
know
sir.
that even before you even
Yes,
come about the
sir.
tax base. So for instance, now, if you're an employee, for instance, once you've negotiated your gross income, you should know how much tax you're expected to pay immediately, right? You should know how much you are paying. You should know that if you live in Ogun State, you're paying your tax to Ogun State immediately. And you should know that, do you get what I'm saying? And you should know that you should pay before 10th of the subsequent month on a monthly basis. So that is what we're talking about certainty. Does it make sense? Number two, economy of collection of tax. When we say economy of collection of tax, yeah, what we are talking about here is the cost of collecting tax must not be more than the tax you are collecting itself. Does it make sense? I don't think it adds up if if you are doing penny wise pounds foolish, right? So you are paying you are receiving 10 million naira, for instance, as tax, and then you've spent 12 million naira to do audit, to do investigation, and you are doing labor loss. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So there must be economy of collection. Josephine, your hand is up. Are you referring to me?
Sorry, sir, it's previous one.
Okay, no problem. Number 3 is convenience. Number 3 is convenience of paying tax. So number 1, so convenience is speaking to two things. Number 1 is to the taxpayer, it must be convenient paying it, right? It must be convenient paying it, meaning that it must be convenient identifying your tax authority, right? Number 2 is that the timing must be convenient enough. That's why we look at, okay, if you pay salary on the 25th, for instance, nothing stops you to pay your tax before 15th day of the next month, or before 10th day of the next month, for instance. If your accounting year end is December, I think we've given you 6 months to close up your books, do all of those things, and then pay your tax before June. 6 months, that's a lot of time, right? Yes or no? For those of us in practice, that's a lot of time, isn't it?
You're
Talk to
right.
me now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you're right.
Tax
Yes, sir.
consultant will not agree with me that it's a lot of time, because some of them were rushing on the 25th. Some of my friends were rushing on the 25th of last month.
You know, we were rushing.
But just that Nigerians, we like fire brigade approach to everything. So next one is then efficiency. Right? Efficiency is saying that, still talking about the economy of cost of collection, but then you shouldn't enforce, how do I put it now? You should make sure that the cost of complying with tax should be lower than the revenue that is raised, right? So in other words, we are saying that before you address poor people, before you collect tax from poor people, remember or take into consideration the cost of collecting the taxes from poor people. Do you understand? So if, for instance, if somebody will pay 1 million naira tax, max based on what he has submitted, and you've conducted audit and investigation to even realize the 1 million, it doesn't really make any sense, really, because that's not an efficient tax system. Then the next one is equity. So let me ask this question: what's the difference between equity and equality? What's the difference between equity and equality? Yeah, that's her.
Equality is when things are done fairness.
Then
Are
what's
you with me?
equity? I'm with you. What's equity?
Equity is the fairness now.
That's equity.
Equity is the fairness, correct?
Then equality, right? Then equality is when things are done equally, like everybody is entitled to the same thing. I think it's usually the same thing.
Like when there's no differentiation is equality. Like things are done according to justice. Why equity is fairness.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Things are, yeah.
In my own view, I just want to add a point. Um, Equality is done horizontally, while equity is done vertically.
You can't hear
Okay.
you.
Equality is done horizontally, equity is done vertically. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. Do you have any other contribution?
Um, okay, sir. Can I say quality is absolute while equity is relative?
Okay, equality is absolute while equity is relative. Okay. But again, your Bible will say that he that speaks English in the house of his in-laws will be the one to interpret it. So interpret what you said.
Okay, by what I said, I mean by absolute, I mean everybody pays the same amount as tax. Like everybody pays 10,000 naira or 20,000. But by relative, I would mean that if you earn 100,000, you pay 10,000. If you earn 200,000, you pay 20,000. That's what I mean in a nutshell.
Okay, good, 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 good. Okay. So now let me just add mine to it to say that equity, right, is fairness. It's treating people with fairness, right? So that you are trying to make sure that the rich pay higher than the poor, right? You're not favoring, you're not doing it, just being fair to say that okay, if you're earning more, you should pay more tax, and if you're earning lower, you should pay lower tax. That's equity. Equality is simply equality to me is actually in the treatment of everybody. So not to say that because you are poor and you're paying lower tax, we will just disregard you, treat you like a trash. So equality is trying to bring the poor up to the level of the rich, why equity is trying to teach everybody equally. Does it make sense to everybody? So I think I have a picture that speaks to that. I saw that picture some time ago, and that picture speaks volume to the position of equity and equality. And let me just see if I can share my screen. I stopped sharing just to make sure that, yeah. Okay. This has always been my most preferred picture to illustrate it. Can you see the picture?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So equality simply means you give them a level playing ground, right? So at the point of payment, if everybody's sitting down. Although bankers do not agree with you with equality, are bankers on this call? Bankers are not equal. Oh. There was a time, there was a time I went to, there was a time I went to the bank, right? So I just that time deposit was still a thing. That kind of thing cannot happen to me again. So there's this Aboki guy in front of me, and we were queuing for a very long time. And so I was thinking, in fact, people, you know how people used to shout, don't stay, stand up, all of you should queue and all of those things. You cannot stay in front of me, you cannot stay at the back and all those things. I was still a student at that time. That's when one guy just came from the front, from I think his account officer or something, then greeted him like, good afternoon, sir, all those things. And then the next thing, they moved the guy to the bulk room, or what's his name? They moved the guy to a special place. To be honest, the guy left before anybody. But then that's the difference between the rich and the poor anyway. So that is equality. That's not equality. What I'm saying here is for equality, everybody face the same rigor in paying their tax. So we equality simply means all of us are using tax per mass. That's equality. While equity is treating people fairly, right? Treating people, at least you can see that we are giving different people different ladder to be able to at least see front. Did you get the picture now? So we are teaching everybody fairly to ensure that okay, there is fairness and all of that. Does it make sense to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Please put off your camera.
Okay. So the next thing we then have is flexibility. So again, your tax laws should be flexible to to show or to reflect what is happening in the macroeconomy. It's a fiscal tool, right? So we are saying that your tax rate should be filtered without any rigor or without any much complexity, right? Do you understand? So a tax system should not be a very rigorous system. Does it make sense? And thank God for the Finance Act that keeps on overhauling the tax, and thank God for the Tax Reform Act that has done what we want it to do. And finally, is on neutrality. A tax system is expected to be neutral, right? It's expected to be neutral such that there will be no excess burden on some people and it will not adversely affect the economic activity. Does it make sense to you, please?
Yes.
Any question?
Sir, can you just explain that last part?
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I was expecting punitive to be among this.
Impunitive.
Because no, punitive.
Okay.
Like I'm thinking that I know the taxation in Nigeria is punitive, though not in totality. Some people still evade tax, right? But I'm thinking that it should be among it, because if it is not punitive, on a normal, like the natural man would not like to pay tax to the government, especially in Nigeria. That's my thought anyway. Punitive is that if you fail to pay, there's a punishment for it. I know it exists, but maybe if it's among, your
penalties,
principles, right? I don't know. I feel that without that punitive being there, a lot of people will not pay tax, especially businesses. They will not pay. That's my thought anyway. I don't know how you see it.
You are correct, because you understand that. But don't forget that the whole essence of tax is not even the punishment in itself. Was only introduced to induce people to pay tax, right? So tax in itself punishment in itself is not a very good inducement to make people pay tax. Do you understand what I'm talking about? I agree with you, but again, the original idea of tax is not to make sure that people are punished. No, the idea there, or what we look at the taxes. Okay, you are correct. Anyway, if you look at it holistically, truly, so there should be punishment for people who are not willing to pay tax. I think that's correct.
Yeah, so no, why I said that is you will agree with me, especially in Nigeria. I'm not talking about other climes where their citizens are happy to pay tax, right? For somebody like me, where I live, I don't see much of a government presence, right? But because I know that they know how much I earn already because of my organization and all that, so definitely my tax is deducted at source. So if there was no punitive measure to it, honestly, me, I will not be happy to pay. And I'm sure my organization would also not be willing to pay, because in Nigeria, the government is not really doing much for the citizens. I'm speaking for myself. I don't know, maybe other Nigerians are enjoying it, but I am just speaking for myself. If that punitive measure is not there, some of us will just take our whole money.
Yes, I can hear you now, sir.
Hello.
We can.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
So sorry about that. It was the network. Okay, so let's go ahead. So okay, good. So we're discussing about so you were trying to say something about your thoughts, yeah?
Yes, sir. I don't know if you heard me.
Pick a name. All right.
Did you hear me? It's still me. Did you hear me?
No, I didn't hear.
Okay, so I was saying that I was expecting that punitive should be among the principles of taxation, especially in Nigerian context, where we feel that the government is not doing much, right? With even the few tax they are generating. So now, for instance, if not that, my organization deduct my tax at source, I will not be happy to pay. I'd rather have my own money and take care of myself the best way I can, right? Now, also, if in my organization, if not that there is a punitive measure, I don't know why it's not listed here. That's just the only thing. I'm sure a lot of them, even individuals and organizations, would not be happy to pay tax in Nigeria. That is just me. I don't know if the government is taking care of other people more than they are doing to me. Because they are not doing much, I am not happy, right, to pay the tax. I think because it is punitive, I think it should be listed. For you to collect tax in Nigeria, it has to be punitive for the citizens to pay or for organizations to pay. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I think I agree with you to a very large extent because from where from your argument, I mean your argument has a very valid reason. I was only saying that I would imagine that the reason why it is not there, right, from onset is to not make it look like the tax in itself is a punishment, right? So I guess that's the reason why it is not there. Why there is no direct benefit, all of us would always argue that there's no direct benefit you are getting from tax. You can always see that there is a little to there are many things that you get from the government. There are many things we get from the government. Although I'm not an advocate of the government because again we will always ask for more. But I would imagine that the reason why it is not there in its real sense is that we don't want, Yoruba will tell you that, sorry, I'm using some Yoruba nuances here, but they are just some wise sayings that guides us, that we don't count the toes of anybody who has 9 toes. We don't count it in his presence. So tax in itself is a punishment. So I think we don't want people to see that it's a punishment in reality because there's no direct benefits. Do you understand what I'm trying to talk about? But again, I agree with you.
Yes, sir.
I agree with you. Your thoughts are valid. Yeah. So, all right. Let's go straight to the next subtopic to discuss. That's classification of taxes. So now there are basically 2 types of taxes, 2 broad types of taxes or let me just say that, let me do it this way to make it easier. Let me do it this way to say tax classification by the perspective of the tax subject, just for me to bring more context to what I'm discussing anyway. So under the tax classification by the perspective of the tax subject, every one of us on this call will pay 2 types of taxes. Is that you pay direct tax or you pay indirect tax, or you pay both, right? So is that you pay direct tax, indirect tax, or both? For somebody like me, I pay both of them. And I'm sure that's the same for everybody on this call, at least a large number of persons on this call. Right? What is direct tax? Right? Direct tax is we can trace the tax being paid to the person paying it. Right? We can trace the tax to the person paying it. That is direct tax. Does it make sense to you?
Yes, sir.
So yeah, Michael.
Okay, okay, sir. Sorry, I'm digressing a bit, but I can't remember you letting us know what your name is. I don't
Okay,
know
my
your
name.
name. Yes. You sound like somebody I know.
Okay. My name, Abi.
Yes, sir. Your name, please.
Okay, so my name is Ogundino Olukunle. Ogundino Olukunle is my name. You can always follow me on my social media handles, LinkedIn, any other place. Yeah, Ogundino Olukunle. Fun fact about me: today is my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, sir.
Happy
All right.
birthday.
Happy
Happy birthday to you,
birthday.
sir.
So
Happy birthday to you.
Oh,
thank you.
happy
All
birthday,
right.
sir.
So are you the one handling PSAF?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So where is the party at?
Are you the same person handling PSAF, sir?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I was the one who was supposed to teach you piece of this morning, but for network.
Oh, I see. Happy birthday, sir.
Did you get that?
Yes, sir. Happy
Hello?
birthday.
Yes, sir, we got it. And we are glad. Nice to meet you and happy birthday, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. All right.
Quick
Thank you,
one though.
Michael. Thank you,
Sir,
everybody.
it was a network thing in the morning or a little bit of hangover happening. Just curious.
Oh my God.
I don't. I don't do bottles.
Now, wow.
I don't do bottles actually.
Okay. Thank God you don't do
Anyway,
bottles. For just press money.
that's very
For just
funny.
press money. But it's okay. You don't do
Let's
bottles. No one
continue.
like that.
Oh.
No, okay, I do bottles. If you want to send money. But again, I do transparent bottles. I do only Coke, Fanta, and etc. But let's come back to class. That's
Really?
just to make the class lively a bit. Yeah, I do soft drinks. Okay, so direct taxes. We're saying that direct taxes is those type of taxes that you can link the tax payment, right, to the person paying it. So the tax base is very visible and the taxpayer is very visible. Does it make sense?
Mm,
It is
yes.
levied directly
Yes, I do.
on tax payers. So example is your payee. We know you are the one paying it. Example again is your company income tax. Example is your capital gain tax. It's that's your direct tax, right? Indirect taxes. So what are indirect taxes? Indirect taxes are those type of taxes that are goods levied on goods and services, levied on goods and services. But beyond that, one thing that characterizes indirect tax is that the person paying it is not aware he's paying it,
Yes.
except for some of us who are at least inclined to an extent. But a lot of
Yes.
people paying indirect tax are not aware they are paying it. Does it make sense to you now? Because you
Yes.
don't you don't know that you're paying it. Does it make sense to you now?
Yes, sir, it
Now, let
does.
me give an example. Is a very good example is value-added tax, right? Value-added tax is that kind of tax that is always on your goods and services that you buy, and most of the time, the price has been incorporated. Say, for instance, if you buy recharge card, when recharge card was still paper, you will see VAT inclusive, right?
Yes.
And
Yes,
you
sir.
pay 400 naira, meaning that the actual value of that recharge card is not 400. The actual value on the recharge card is 400 less 5%. Or 7.5% as the case may be. Do you understand? Even sometimes, so in that way, if I'm paying for the charge card, I do not know I'm paying tax. Does it make sense to you?
Yes, sir.
Hello, please confirm
Yes,
that
sir.
you can hear me.
I
We
can
can
hear
Yes,
hear
you,
sir, we
you,
sir.
can
sir.
hear
So
you
that
and we
is
are
that.
Yes, I'm going to.
That is that about indirect taxes. And your indirect taxes can either be fixed rate tax, can either be a fixed rate tax, right? Where the tax is specific. The tax rate is specific, right? Or you can also have ad valorem. ad valorem tax. This time, the tax rates varies by the goods and services. Right. So, for instance, you would have under this bracket now, you would have what's the name? You would have your custom and excise duty. You have your custom and excise duty as ad valorem taxes, but your fixed rate tax, the popular example is your VAT, right? Another example of ad valorem is maybe excise duty to an extent, excise duties too for. So based on classification by subject, you would say direct tax in that it is levied directly on taxpayers, right? The tax base is visible, while indirect tax in that it is levied on goods and services, and most of the time it is hinged. The person paying it is not aware he's paying it, so it is borne by third parties. Let me just put that here. The tax is borne by third parties. All right. So let's move straight to our next set. Can you with me? Can you still hear me?
Yes, sir. Please, can you increase the size of your screen, please?
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's better now. Thank you.
All right. So let's look at based on the perspective. The first one we looked at is based on the perspective of the subject. The second one we want to look at is based on the perspective of distribution of the tax burden. Based on the perspective of the distribution of tax burden back to pattern. And this, you would always have three here. You would always have your progressive tax, which is most of the time what we practice. In fact, this is now what we practice in Nigeria. Progressive tax, where the tax rates increases as the tax base increases. Does it make sense? So, for instance, now, by the new Tax Reform Act, for those who earn below those companies whose revenue is below 50 million, they are classified as small companies now, no tax. 100 million, 20%, above 100 million, 30% or thereabout. So that is a progressive tax. Another example here is your payee. Remember that your first 7%, based on the old system, your first 7% will be 300,000. Your first 300,000 will be 7%. Next 300,000 will be on 11%, and so on and so forth. Right? That's a progressive tax system. So this way, this is an equity way of tax distribution because the rich pays more than the poor. Right? The rich pays more tax compared to the poor. The second one is proportional tax system. Tax system.
Proportional.
In this case, the tax rate is constant. Right? The tax rate is constant, right? Over the tax base bracket. An example of this is your capital gain tax. Right? Your capital gain tax, for instance, you have your 10% across board, right? That's an example of your proportional tax. The third one is not practiced in Nigeria, and that's regressive tax. For this one, the more the income, the tax rate reduces as the tax base increases, just to encourage rich people to pay tax. That's the idea here, to encourage rich people to pay tax. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right, the tax rate, but I don't see any example for this regressive. Another example for your proportional will be your value added tax. All right. C now is proportion based on the tax base. And based on the tax base, we are looking at it from three perspectives, right? Based on the tax base, your tax base is actually the substance that is being subjected to tax. So there are three things that can be subjected to tax, either a capital, importation, or an income, or consumption. All right, those are the three things that can be subjected to tax. This all capital or assets, basically. Then income, then consumption. Example of your income will be your revenue, your chargeable income, and so on and so forth. Your consumption will be based on your consumption. Based on the example will be your value added tax, for instance. And possibly we should say that your capital gain tax should be on some assets that are taxable, like your luxury tax, for instance. If you have some mansions, some cars, and so on and so forth. Do we have any question from so far that we've discussed?
Sorry, sir, to bring you back. Can you throw more light on the based on tax base? Thank you.
Okay, so tax base is the substance that is being subjected to tax. All right. So we're only saying that we can only subject three things to tax. Is that we subject a capital, importation, or assets to tax, or we subject income to tax, or we subject consumption to tax. So either of the three can form a tax base. Do you understand? Tax base is just what is the substance that is being taxed. That's what tax base is. Does it make sense?
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. It does. Thank you. Sir.
So let's get into one interesting topic. Difference between tax and levy.
Excuse me, sir. I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
Okay,
Please
so
go
my
ahead.
question is, when we are talking about the tax base, I'm thinking around what about people who retire, like government officials that retire? Is it that when they are done with service, they no longer get the salary? Maybe the person has attained the height of a director, for example, and the person's salary is, let's assume, like 500K or somewhat like that. When they retire, is it that they no longer pay tax? How is that worked out, sir?
Okay, so for directors, that's executive director, non-executive directors, I'm aware they pay withholding tax because it's part-time role, right? But I think your question is tilted towards pension, right? Pension is not taxable.
Yes, sir.
Pension income is not taxable, right? So anybody who has pension income is free from tax because pension income cannot be compared to normal income in reality. So we just feel is a way we just need to exempt them from taxes. So pension income is not taxable. However, a lump sum received, like a lump sum received upon loss of office, like your termination benefit, is subjected to capital gain tax. Does that explain what you want?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So that's it. So, all right. That said, now let's move straight to
Sorry, sir. My
the
hands have
difference
been
between.
raised up.
Yeah.
So I have a question.
Sorry, I wasn't seeing it.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So for the proportional, for the progressive tax, you said capital income tax as an example.
Capital income. I said income tax, not capital income. Company income tax.
Sorry, company income tax. But company income tax have
Yeah.
like a fixed rate from 0 to 30%. So I'm kind of confused.
Yeah.
Can you help me
So
clarify
it
for
is
me? Thank you.
your company income tax rate is dependent on your revenue. For companies whose revenue is below 25 million, they don't pay tax. They're exempted from company income tax. For companies whose revenue is between 25 and 50, they pay at 20%. And for companies whose revenue is more than 100, they pay what's the name now? They pay at 30%. So you would see from there that it is the higher the income, the higher the tax. The higher the revenue, the higher the tax. That's the idea of progressive. Does it make sense?
Okay, thank you, sir. It does.
Yeah. Another question before we move on? All right. So that said,
Sorry, I have a question,
can we
please.
move on?
Sorry.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, the last one based on your tax base, that consumption, can you explain it to me? That number 3, consumption.
So that's value-added tax. The more you consume,
Okay.
the more you pay tax.
Okay. Thank you.
Abi, if you're the type that not spend much money like myself now, so you pay lower tax. Somebody's telling me, thank God I know here. Oh, come and save me. So now let's talk difference between tax and levy. So let's come again, let's discuss. Yeah, what do you think are the differences between tax and levy? Yeah, I want it to be interactive. The difference between tax and levy. Talk to me now.
So I think levies are
Can you hear me?
voluntary. Can anyone hear me?
Levies.
Yes, we can. We can.
Okay, go ahead.
Why
Please go
levies
ahead.
are voluntary? Tax are compulsory payments.
Levy is voluntary, tax is compulsory. But if I can't tell you to pay development levy, you must pay.
I must pay because I'm. Well, I don't know. Yeah.
Make I rest, Abi.
Can I try?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Hello, sir.
So levy
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
is paid.
okay, somebody's talking.
So let's have it one person at a
Go on,
time.
madam.
Let's have it one person at a time. So, Michael, is it
Levies
Michael
can
I
be
speaking?
paid for services that has been received, or for levies is paid for services that has been received or for offense that has been committed. Why tax is paid whether you don't have to do anything. Tax is voluntary. So tax is compulsory.
Okay, sir. Can I add now?
I got lost with your last statement. Yeah, go ahead.
So I said tax
All right, sir.
is compulsory. It's voluntary.
Why levy is?
So I said levy, right?
Levy
Is
is voluntary.
an
I do
obligation
not
that
agree.
you have to pay.
I do not
Can you
agree
hear
with
me, sir?
levy being voluntary all the time.
Hello, sir. Hello,
Can
sir.
you hear me,
Voluntary
sir?
is the wrong
I do
word.
not agree. So,
Can you hear me, sir?
okay, so I can hear you.
So no, you didn't get my explanation. What I said was that levy, right, is paid for either services that you have received or for offense that has been committed.
Yeah.
Why your tax is paid is it's voluntary, it's an obligation that has to be paid whether you commit an offense or not. You just have to pay it. It's mandatory. So tax is mandatory.
Yeah, not
Your
Okay.
words are
voluntary.
I
That
think I
word
got
contradicting
that
each
now.
voluntary
other.
is
Thank you.
negating the meaning.
Your words are contradicting each other.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Michael.
Okay,
Exactly.
Moses. Moses. Yeah.
Okay, Moses, go ahead.
I just want to add a voice to what he has said. Can I go ahead? Can you hear me?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Oh dear.
I can
Okay.
hear you very clearly.
I think Madam actually has an idea, just in the way she's putting it. I think both of them are compulsory. Wait, I think levy is more or less punitive, right? Intended to be punitive e.g. in terms of fines and penalty. That's the way I see it. But both of them are compulsory, I guess. But levy tends to be more punitive, in the sense that it could be fines, could be penalty for something. That's my thoughts, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's noted. So in addition to what you have said, your movement now is towards tax levy can be punitive, right? Levy is more punitive is a result of a judgment most of the time. Okay, let's see. Michael.
Okay, I would like to come from the angle of the fact that for taxes, there's usually no defined there's no defined value you expect from the government. But for levies, there's usually something you expect in return. It could be road maintenance, maybe you pay levy for a
Okay,
toll,
and I'm gonna get this tax.
you should expect something in return when you are paying a levy. But for taxes, I doubt there is
Beatrice,
anything
please
like
mute
that.
your mic. Okay, go ahead.
Hello? Okay. Can I
Okay.
come again?
Okay, makes sense, Michael. Yeah, Josephine. I can hear you, Michael. Yeah,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you. Josephine.
Okay. Okay, sir. So what I can say there, I will say that levies, they are often imposed for a particular or a specific purpose, and is a type of tax also. I think is imposed for a particular or specific purpose. Then taxes also, yeah, taxes that they are compulsory payment imposed by government.
Right. First is that. Okay. That's fine. Thank you, Josephine. That's noted too. So all of you spoke well. All of you spoke well, and I think I lend my disagreement to some people. That's at the point at which I disagree with some of the points you were making. But first, it's important for us to understand that tax is a compulsory levy, right? But not all levies are taxes. Right? Number two is that tax is imposed by the government. Only government has the capacity to impose tax. Right? In fact, local government does not impose tax. Local governments only do levies. But to cut down social tax is imposed by the government, while levies are imposed by communities, local governments, and other government anyway, and other government agencies. Right? 3, tax has no direct benefit. That means there's no direct benefit you are going to enjoy from paying tax, but levy is imposed on services enjoyed or consequences or as a consequence for an action or inaction. Right? That's where the offense comes into play. That when we commit an offense, they impose levy. Right? So another one is that tax is not punitive. We are not trying to punish you in nature, but levy can be imposed as a way of punishing offenders. All right. Does it make sense? Do you have any question to ask me on based on this point? Or
Sir, please can you explain the number
with...
1 point?
So again, tax is a compulsory levy, meaning that anytime we say tax, it is compulsory that you pay. So tax in itself is a compulsory levy imposed by the government. But not all levies that are being imposed are tax related. So for instance, if you pay your if you offend now and you pay court fee is a levy, right? But court fee is not a tax. Does it make sense? But for instance, if you pay your personal income tax, your personal income tax is a levy imposed on you by the government. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Any question? Excuse me, sir. I think so. Now let's look at basic. Can you hear me, please? Hello. If you are speaking, I can hear you faintly. I don't know if you can increase the volume. Okay, so or you move closer to your gadgets. Accept that tax is not probably outside Nigeria, but within Nigeria. I mean, if you fail to remit your tax at a stipulated time. So again, I think you are buttressing my point. So what you pay as a result of not paying tax levy. But tax in its original sense, we are not trying to punish you for paying tax. Or you are trying, no, we're not. Tax is like, how would I put that? Tax is not a punishment for living in Nigeria. No. Does it make sense? Do you understand what I'm trying to talk about? Do you understand what I'm trying to explain?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's that you're paying that you're in Nigeria does not make you, we're not punishing you for. So tax in itself, as if you default and you pay levy, like say for instance, you are if after audit they see something, they will charge you some money for evading tax. That's a levy most times, right? But then tax in itself that you've defaulted in that you are supposed to pay. For instance, my personal income tax is not, or my payee is not a punishment on me. Although in reality, I don't like paying it. But then it's not really a punishment, or I'm not being punished for living in Nigeria. Although some people say once you are a Nigerian, life has won you 1-0. I do not agree with that statement. All of us in Nigeria, we are wonderfully and beautifully made, isn't it? Talk to me now.
Of course, sir.
Yeah. So thank you.
Yes.
So again, we don't want to hear that all of you are traveling abroad next time, or all of us should be in Nigeria to make Nigeria better. Bye and patronize Nigeria.
Excuse me, sir.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, so if taxes that are collected are being made for or used for development, what are the levies used for, and where are they being paid? What's the essence of levying if you're not exactly? That's the question. What are the levies being used for?
Okay, that's a very good question. So, for instance, tax is generally nomenclature, right? But again, if courts impose a levy on you, say court fine or court fee, for instance, that is what the court used to run the court system, the legal system in Nigeria. So, say for instance, if you disobey traffic offense in Nigeria and you pay LASMA, for instance, it is expected that LASMA use that as one running cost, and it also contributes to IGR of Lagos State. It's right. Do you understand what I'm trying to talk about? So most of the time, it's those levies contribute to the IGR of the state, and also some parties, some organizations who are responsible for receiving that levy use that as part of their major source of revenue. When NEPA bill was still a thing, right? NEPA used to use NEPA bill. I mean, the money they get was what we used to run electricity in Nigeria. Abi?
Okay. I wouldn't know because I've been wondering what all these levies are being used for, especially the ones they collect on the road, the local government levies, the lockup shop, and all those things. I wonder what they use it for.
So the ideally the market levy is supposed to use to make sure the market remains tidied.
Exactly.
Whether or not they are using it for it is another discussion for another day. But you know what I'm supposed to teach you is the ideal thing.
Yeah.
So that's the idea
All right.
there.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So one concept of tax is the tax rate, and anytime we say tax rate, we just mean the burden ratio, right? By burden ratio, I mean the percentage of tax. That's one. Number two, I've said this over and over again, the tax base. That's the assets, income, or consumption that is being subjected to tax. That's what is even forming the basis. That's the revenue or anything that forms the basis for tax in the first place, right? Then the next one you have is the tax burden, which is the amount you are paying at the end of the day as your tax, right? Tax burden is the amount you are paying as tax. Then the next one is tax impact. Your tax impact, right? Are you with me?
Yes,
sir.
That's the effect of taxes on consumption and production. The effect of taxes on consumption and production of
Please,
the
can you explain the
product.
tax margin also?
The tax burden, Abi, being
Yes.
subjected to tax. Okay. So the tax liability that is borne by the taxpayer. You understand? That's the burden.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand? You're
Yes, sir.
welcome. So what the burden is, what you are
What
the
of
impact.
tax base?
The tax base is the item. So the assets or capital, consumption, or income that is assessed to tax. All right, that's that. So can we move a little bit forward? I'll move a little bit forward.
I don't know. Under this basic concept in taxation, should we not outline?
Please.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, good. Makes sense. Move on.
Should we not outline the should I call it the basic period now? Probably it is days or an actual year. I think it's a bigger concept in taxation.
I'm struggling to hear you.
Remove. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, better.
Okay. I'm saying, talking about concepts in taxation, I think that we should also outline the period, the basis period of taxation. Is it a preceding year base or actual year base? I think that's the key concept in too.
No, that's a different topic entirely.
Okay.
It's a different topic entirely. Yeah, it's one of the things I intend to do today, but basis period in itself is a different context entirely.
Noted, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right, you're welcome. So now let's quickly wrap up with our introduction by looking at the concept of multiple taxes, multiple taxation, and it's something that is common. You will know what multiple taxation is if you use DANFO. If you use DANFO in Lagos, you will know multiple taxation by default. Life will teach you. Abi?
Yes.
Eh? So, what is multiple taxation? Let me ask you. Talk to me.
Okay, so can I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, multiple taxation, I can say it refers to a situation whereby an individual or maybe a corporate body is subjected to pay multiple taxes for the same reason.
It's subjected to pay what?
Is subjected to pay tax like multiple times under the same should I say jurisdiction, or should I say, but it's like if you are being taxed for, let's say, transportation, and then you have to pay it multiple times, like pay it to the local, sometimes you pay it to the local government after after an already remittance to the federal government, like the federal and state and probably local and state are taxing you under the same tax base.
That's correct. Yeah, that's very good. That's the idea of multiple tax. So the same tax base, then you are paying different taxes. An example, a very good example of that is you would ask me what's the difference between what's the name now? Your value added tax and sales tax in Lagos. That's one thing you would want to ask me. And if you ask me, I don't know what's the difference. So
Okay,
same
sir.
tax base. Yeah.
I didn't get you, sir. Difference between what?
Difference between value added tax and tax base. And value added tax and sales tax, I mean. Value added tax and sales tax.
Before the person gave that explanation, which you said is correct. So in my head all this while, I used to believe multiple taxation is where an individual or a company suffers purchase tax and sales tax on a particular product or in a particular transaction. That's what I think in my head.
Okay, so you are just narrowing it down to an event, right? But multiple tax is when same person pays different taxes on same tax base to different persons. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So what we are saying in essence is, you, for instance, now you tell me you are paying, I'm paying common income tax. I agree. You will tell me now the local government will come and say I should pay residence tax. I will pay. Then the state will come and say I should pay one other tax again. I will pay. And I'm not able to discover or find the difference between the three levels of taxes I'm paying. Another example is your federal government will charge me VAT. I will say no problem. State will now come again and put that red line on my this out of use, out of clinical ban, because I didn't pay sales tax. My people who operate in the hospitality industry in Lagos State will testify to this. They pay different taxes and the taxes do not make sense. They will tell you they are paying one consumption tax. You can't really find the difference between that tax and the ideal value added tax that they're expected to pay. They will still know there will be no problem. And the local government will come again and say they should pay land shop use permit, clinical permit. So trying to discern what's the difference between those taxes, because they're on the same tax base, you will find it difficult. And that's the idea of multiple tax. Does it make sense?
Sir, can I ask a question?
Yeah, go
Based
ahead.
on your definition. So, are you trying to say that multiple taxation now is paying different type of tax on the same tax base or paying similar taxes on the same tax base. Is that what you're trying to say?
It is two events, but it is two events. So both two of them contributes to multiple taxation.
Okay.
Do you understand? So again, let me explain it clearly so that you understand. Now, say for instance, you pay value tax to federal government. You pay sales tax to state government. You now pay market levy or market permit to local government. Now, if you are paying the three different taxes, the question is why should you pay at those three levels? You will ask these bus drivers, they will pay acne permit, they will pay roadworthiness, they will pay there's other one stupid thing they will pay at different bus stop every morning. I don't know the name now. But again, you will see a bus driver having up to 50 or 25 tickets in the morning. And sometimes you begin to pity them that, guy, when will you do something for yourself and your family with this level of money you are paying? Do you understand? That's also multiple taxes. So it is either paying on the same tax base to different persons or paying on the same tax base to different tax authority or even different tax authority or same tax authority even charging multiple taxes. They still connote multiple taxation, both of them. That's why this tax, our new law now is trying to consolidate all of the taxes because ideally in Nigeria, you pay common income tax, tertiary education tax, you pay NITDA levy, you pay police levy, you pay about 6 of them. You pay about 6 different taxes.
Nice
And then you
idea.
begin you pay NSITF and likes about 5 or 6. And you begin to wonder if I'm paying common income tax and you're arguing with me that the reason for common income tax is to make Nigeria better, and is infrastructure is infinite infrastructure part of Nigeria that I'm trying to make better by my common income tax. Why do I need to pay that levy again? When you are paying federal people that work in Abuja and every other person pay that is going to federal government. Why can't they pay police officers from that? Why do I have to pay a different police levy? You ask again, why do I have to pay tertiary education tax? Why do I have to pay it? It doesn't really make sense. If you look at a normal thing, an average tax rate in Nigeria, right, is about 40% of about 35 to 40% if you put it on average. Because even a large number of some of these taxes are not imposed on your chargeable income, like your revenue. So that makes it a little bit worse. That levy is 1% of revenue. Your police is 0.05% of revenue. So, and when you are imposing some rates on your revenue, it becomes more bloated compared to where you're putting it on your total profit or your profit after you've deducted a lot of things. You understand what I'm talking about? So on average, a normal person will pay, a normal company will pay up to 40% as tax, 40% of the total profit as tax, which doesn't make sense. And that's what this tax reform bill is trying to discuss, that let's consolidate all of those taxes and make it additional tax of 5%, development levy of 5%, I think. And then that's consolidating all of the taxes together, right? Does it make sense to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So that's the idea of multiple taxes. So, for instance, you will see that even if you live on the island, you pay toll fee when you're entering Lekki, and then once you are parking, those people who are immediately you are parking, like some people will come and greet you. They want to collect parking levy too, and then you begin to wonder, why do I have to pay for parking? In fact, when you get way bill self, you pay for loading and offloading to the local government. All of those things are becoming a problem, right? And the funny thing is, at the federal and state level, it still makes a little sense, but at local government level, if you see the way those guys collect their taxes, I think it's horrible. You see them. There was a guy that was trying to evade tax. If you want me to say evade, he was evading the levy. And at the end of the day, that guy just came and then just used one bad rod like this and just used it and it's his windscreen. And I was wondering that if I don't pay this 500 naira, this windscreen I just wasted now because no amount of thing you want to do, they can't repair your windscreen, right? So, what are the causes of multiple tax? Number one is lack of revenue, lack of funding. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we are.
Number one is lack of
Hello, sir.
revenue. Yeah.
Hello, sir. So my hand are
Yeah.
there. Hi. Yeah, my question was
Is
actually
it?
is hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, my question is on this tax base. So can this tax base also be referred as sources of taxation?
Sources of tax. When you say sources of tax, what do you mean?
Sources whereby tax is being generated.
I think we should just leave it as tax base, because sources sound a little bit more. Sources has a little bit of multiple meanings that I don't want to go with. But again, if you talk about the item or the substance that's been taxed, then that's tax base. When you say sources of tax now, I begin to wonder because, in fact, if I'm looking at sources of tax, for instance, I would want to look at it from the perspective of individuals and corporate. Eh?
Yes.
So I just would like to leave it as tax base, being the subject that is being taxed, not the taxpayer now, the subject that is being taxed. But if that's what you are referring to as your tax base, then if that's what you refer to as your sources, then I'm fine with it. But again, I do not want to stick with source. Right? Does it make sense to you?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So number one is some local governments don't have funding, right? And to be honest with you, except for when they now granted this local government autonomy, most local governments were subservient to state government. And once state government holds fund, it doesn't cascade down to local government, and local government needs to feed. So you begin to wonder on how will local government get some money without charging all these extra levies, right? Number two is lack of tax education. Lack of tax education and awareness on the part of the taxpayer. Right? On the part of the taxpayer. Does it make sense? And then
Yes,
multiplicity.
it makes sense, but it does not make sense in real life.
Why?
If you start explaining to everybody that I've paid tax before, I don't want to, you will not.
Like, I agree with you. Say, for instance, if especially in the informal market, if you're in informal market, you cannot really explain to these guys. They are desperate. They are desperate to collect it. So I agree with you to an extent on that. That in the informal market it becomes tedious, but in the formal market, I think most of the time, even many people in the corporate world, the reason why they fall victim of different multiple taxes is because they were not willing to comply to the original tax brackets in the first place. I remember there was a case like that. Although I wasn't involved directly, but I had a case where they came for tax audit and they were supposed to pay additional levy. And instead of arguing why should I pay additional levy, the taxpayer just settled for negotiation. Right? Immediately settled for and once tax people see that you are settling for negotiation, they feel you are ignorant, and they would deliberately feed on your ignorance. And after that negotiation, they will still come back again, and so you fall victim of different taxes. All right. So next is multiplicity of revenue agencies. So for instance, you have custom service import duty that collect import duty. You have immigration. You have just about 20 of them. So now the tax reform bill is trying to, in fact, not even trying. It is now harmonized. So there's from January next year, or even I think from now, there's no longer Federal Inland Revenue Service. It is now called Nigerian Revenue Service, right? And what that means is that they begin to collect revenue generally for all that the Central Revenue Collection Agency for the federal government. So if you have to pay custom, you have to go through FIRS. If you have to pay or you have to go through Nigerian Revenue Service. If you are paying a NITA levy, you have to go through that and all of that. So does it make sense now?
Yes, sir.
And then
So I want to ask
finally,
a question.
yeah, please go ahead.
So, sir, just based on the explanation of this multiple taxation, that means that you are meant to be taxed once on a tax base. Is that right? You are just meant to be taxed once on a tax base item, maybe your income, assets, or capital, whatever. You are meant to be taxed once on it, right?
Ideally, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, but don't forget that in answering you, I use the word ideally. So
I
that's in the case where you're
understand.
that you have to also say that I taught you in an ideal environment. So if you're operating in an what's the opposite for ideal now? Unideal environment, then you
Unideal.
have to unideal environment, so you have to pay different taxes or same tax base. All right. So unorthodox tax collection, local governments use crude ways of collecting taxes, and a lot of people are scared of those guys, and they just have to pay. And also, there's manual tax system. I can't imagine having to do with many tickets and all of those things. So it's being manual. Most of the levies you pay to local government guys don't even get to local government chairman or don't get to local government revenue collection agents. They get buried at the end of the day, right? That's the truth. Although I don't know if it's, but that's the truth anyway. Overlapping taxing rights. That's another thing. Overlapping taxing rights imposed by the regulation. Some of the times regulations are not clear. Regulations are not clear, to be honest. Just last week or something like last 2 months, the court declared that they are not supposed to, FIRS is not supposed to charge penalty on country by country reporting. And that is a matter that has been dwindling in court since 2018 or 2019 or thereabouts. So you can imagine the tax, but again, the constitution provides that FIRS has rights to come up with any law any day. A circular can impose law. You can imagine, even ideally law should not a tax law should not have retrospective application. But in Nigeria, there was a case of windfall tax that that even backdated to the time where the banks enjoyed a lot from FX volatility, right? So although the argument is that it happened before in Singapore and there was windfall tax and things like that. But again, when those banks are bearing the brunt of recapitalization now, they will not go and meet FRS to go and get more money from them. So why should you? But again, what do I know? All right. Do you enjoy the class so far?
Yes, sir. Very well.
Yes, sir.
Sir, can you please explain that number 5 and number 3 points in the causes of multiple taxation?
So multiplicity of revenue agencies, like I explained,
Yes,
you have different agencies collecting money. Custom will collect, road safety will collect, FRS will collect, NITDA will collect. A lot of people collecting money. So now we are saying that most transport, which has been done actually, there's now a Nigerian Revenue Service, NRS, that collects all the income for the government. So when you harmonize all of them, then I think that's going to be better, and we also help you guide against your multiplicity of taxes. That's that about number 3. And number 5, right, is overlapping taxing rights, saying that the constitution gave power to states to collect taxes, gave the same power to federal government to collect some taxes, gave the power to local government to collect taxes, right? So that becomes a problem as to defining who is entitled to what. Do you understand? So if our taxpayers are confused as to who should we pay what, do you understand what I'm
So
saying now?
does the new tax bill act talk about this number 5, overlapping tax rights imposed by regulation?
Yeah, it is. That's the. It didn't address it. It didn't address the overlapping tax right, but it addressed the issue of multiplicity of revenue agencies.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. So let's go to the major reason why we gathered today. But hope by now, all of us on this call now have a good understanding of what tax is in Nigeria, right? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir. In an ideal
let's move.
environment.
Yeah, but so again, are you trying to say you're not living in an ideal environment? Nigeria is an ideal environment, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
It's not an ideal environment. Anyway,
It
There's
is
nothing
not.
I see about
I will set an
It's
example. Nigeria is not really an ideal environment because you cannot say Nigeria is ideal. You cannot say an economy is ideal where there's no stability, price stability, where there's no employment. I think there are 3 parameters: economic growth and development, price stability, and employment, gainful employment of labor. Those are the 3 parameters for economic growth and development, basically. Somebody invested last month because of the fear that, so he converted naira to dollar last month, and he converted it at the rate of 1,590. Converted to dollar because of the fear that dollar may become increased in price. Now the person wants to liquidate the investment, and now dollar is about 1,510. You are trying to invest, but now you are worse off investing. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's not an ideal. Eh? But that's not an ideal environment, really. That's not an ideal environment. It is what it is. Nigeria will be great again. Abi?
Amen.
All right. So let's quickly look at ethical issues in taxation. Let me just quickly discuss that because time is no longer my friend. So let me discuss ethical issues in taxation. I can run through that in a few minutes. I've shared the notes with you before. Is that correct? Did you see the note?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
No, please, I can't hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Sir, are you talking about basic ethical?
Yeah, basic ethical issues in taxation.
Okay, sir.
Please, I have a question, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead.
All right. So under the basic concept of or basic concepts in taxation, there's a point there, tax impact.
Yeah.
I also want to understand the difference between tax impact and tax effect. Having the issue in those two.
The difference between impact and I didn't get your question.
Effect
The difference between tax impact
and tax effect.
and tax effect. So in reality, there's no clear-cut difference between the two of them, really. Because when you're looking at your tax effect, you're looking at or your tax impact, for instance, you're looking at the effect on production and consumption, right? And when you're looking at effect, you're looking at the consequences on the taxpayer. Although in reality, we are saying that if you're looking at it from the the tax, what's the name now? From the what's the name? Remind me. From the taxpayer's point of view, okay, let's put it this way: that your tax impact looks at the general overview, while tax effect is focusing more on individual. Maybe that's to differentiate it a bit. But in reality, we are looking at what's the impact, what's the effect on the overall economy.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. So let's look at ethical issues in taxation, and that is where I will be ending today. If I move on to the next discussion. So the administration of companies income tax, and can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
So again, this has been altered. It's now vested, yeah, in Federal Inland Revenue Service and State Internal Revenue Service. But Federal Inland Revenue Service Board has been changed to Nigerian Revenue Service. So you may want to take note of that. But then what we are looking at in the context of this class is, what do we expect from an average tax practitioner? What do we expect from an average tax practitioner? So we expect an average tax practitioner to be disciplined, right? So you have to be disciplined in that your rules and regulation must be adhered to. You must live an exemplary lifestyle at work. Number two is you must be loyal. You must be loyal to the government, right? You must be loyal to the government every time, right? Then after that, you must be honest, right? Honesty is the best policy. Is that correct? So honesty is the best policy. There's integrity. Do not say yes when you mean to say no. Don't collect extra money for carrying out your services. In fact, your salary should be enough for you to live, right? Then the next one is courage. Is that you're expected to be courageous in the performance of your duty and accept challenges of an office. Then you have to be courteous in addressing taxpayers, given that your taxpayers are customers, basically. Then you have to be tactful, meaning skillful in handling and dealing with difficult situations without offending those involved. Now, let's look at ISBA code. So what is ISBA code talking about? We are looking at, generally, ISBA code will be taught in tax, will be taught in your audit, will be taught in FR, I believe. But what ISBA code is, ISBA is International Ethics Standard Board for Accountants. So we just want to pick some of their thoughts and how it affects tax practitioner. So ISBA is saying that every accountant must have integrity, meaning that you should be truthful and be straightforward in everything you do and avoid giving out misleading statements. Right, giving out misleading statement. Number two is objectivity. And objectivity in reality is independence of the mind, right? Not being able to compromise, act without conflict of interest, or act without undue influence on others, right? Number three is professional competence and due care. Meaning that at least you have to be competent, you have to be a member of a professional body. You have to be a member of a professional body. Right? Then confidentiality. Confidentiality simply means that you are somebody we can keep secret with, right? You are somebody that can keep people's information. Do not say yes when you mean to say no. All right. No, that's not confidentiality. Confidentiality simply means that you should not overreact when you eat breakfast. Do you understand? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can
You
hear
get
you.
what
We
that
can
means,
hear you.
right?
Yes, we do.
There are some people I want them to answer me, but they are not answering me.
Yes, we do. We can hear you, sir.
Okay, that's good. You can hear
Very
me,
well,
Abi?
sir.
So don't overreact when you eat breakfast. Even when you eat professional breakfast, don't overreact, right? You don't have to divulge information. That's what I do. You understand what I mean?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Please, I want to be sure. Are you displaying anything? Because from my end, there's no display.
Are you seeing my screen?
No, from
Yes,
my
we
end.
can
So I
see
want.
your screen.
Okay,
Yes, we can
then
see
it's
your
my
screen.
network.
Eh?
No,
It's
no,
from
I'm
your
not.
end.
So
Because
from
I'm
my
seeing.
No, too from your end. I think it's my network.
Okay. You can all hear me, Abby?
Yes, sir.
yes, sir. Yes,
Yes, we
sir.
can.
All right. So professional behavior, saying that you have to be professional at all time, comply with laws and regulations. So let's look at conditions in which your confidentiality agreement can be breached. There are reasons why you may want to overreact or say some things, right? Number one is if your disclosure of information is permitted by the law, right? Or it is authorized by the client, or it is required by law. And it's only required by law if it is one, possibly needed in the court, or it is in public interest for you to do so. And then number four is there is professional right or duty to disclose when not prohibited by law. That's when maybe ICAN want to do an investigation or CIT wants to do an investigation. In that case, you may be required to disclose under the law. That's all right. So that is that about that. So finally, let's disclose conflict of interest. Let's discuss conflict of interest. So what is conflict of interest? Conflict of interest is when a person is acting for two opposing parties, right? That's when conflict of interest occurs, right? And it may impede your objectivity at the end of the day, right? So you are working for two or more clients, and those clients are in conflict. Say, for instance, you're working for both Cadbury and Nestle, and both of them are competitors. So you may have conflict of interest. So in that case, you must disclose your rights or your how do I put it now? You must disclose all that you're expected to your interest in the two parties. You must disclose them so that it is at that instance you may be willing to, and when they see that you are not going to infringe on any of their interest, that's when they will allow you to do the job, right? So you have to tell both clients that you have interest in Cadbury, you have interest in Nestle. So both clients are aware. And number two, in fact, you are advised to resign in that kind of engagement. if it's going to threaten your independence, right? So that is that about basic ethical issues in taxation. Do we have any question for me based on what we've discussed so far? Do you have any question for me? Hello? Yes? Excuse me, do you have any question for me? Can you hear me?
Quick one, sir.
Yes,
Is
sir.
there
I can hear you, sir.
protection against divulging information maybe under an influence?
Protection as in? Okay, so
Let's
if you
say,
divulge information possibly under intimidation, so are you going to, is there any
yeah, like I mean, it's breached the confidentiality code right now.
confidentiality arrangement?
Yeah.
Yeah, it breaches it, but again, if you are intimidated and is a threat to life, it is understandable. So that's a defense, right? That there's a threat to life, but those threats must be substantiated, right? That's it must be evidenced that those threats really occur. But in reality, if it is a self-induced influence, then there's no protection against such.
All right. Thank you.
Does that answer your question? You're welcome.
Yes.
Yeah. Any other
So I
question?
want to ask, you said that a tax practitioner cannot operate for two opposing parties for the same interest or for the same matter that two of them are dealing with, right?
So what I said is that to avoid
Hello,
conflict
sir.
of
Can you hear
interest,
me, sir?
that's what I said. But again, let me bring it into context that you are advised not to, because again, if you are protecting the interest of Cadbury and two opposing parties, two competitors, right? If you are protecting their interest, you may be biased in your judgment, and that's going to affect a lot of things, right? So in that case, what you're expected to do as a person is to disclose your interest to both parties, right? Such that everybody is clear as to whose interest that you are unbiased from beginning. So when they are still willing to go on with you, again, it is an individual, not the firm. I think I need to explain that it is an individual we're talking about here, not the firm.
Sir,
So you
I
could see
can't hear
cases
you if
of
you are talking. Seems your network.
hello, can anybody else hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Yes,
I hear you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Network.
Can hear you.
Okay. So I was saying that I think I need to substantiate that, or I need to say that it is not the firm we are talking about here, it is an individual. So you could see cases where KPMG act for 3, 4, 5, 6 companies, and both of them are competitors. So, but what they do is that they ensure that same person does not get involved in those different engagements. They have different people and do different engagements. That way, objectivity and independence is maintained. Does that answer your question? Hello? Hello, do you have any other question for me? Hello, do you have any other question for me?
Sir, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear some of your explanation. You were just, the network was fluctuating, so I couldn't hear most of your explanation. I don't know if it was only me.
even me, sir, I
They
didn't
said it.
understand. So sorry about this. I didn't understand, sir.
What's hello? Can anybody else hear me so that I don't have to repeat myself over and
Yes,
over
we can
again?
hear you.
I
I
hear
hear
you,
you,
sir.
sir. I hear you.
Okay, Rilwan, can you hear me? Okay, he's not hearing me, so I think the issue is from his end. Okay, while
Sir, I can hear
I
you.
wait.
I don't know if you can hear
Okay,
me.
I can hear you. I can hear you. So let me move on. Let me move on now and say that what I was saying in essence is that when you have two opposing parties, right, you shouldn't act for all of them without disclosing your interest. That I am objective, and are you willing to go ahead with dealing with me in this instance? But again, I was saying that it is the firm and not a person. It is the person and not the firm. So you can have a firm dealing with different competitors, but they ensure that different persons are handling the engagement, so as to ensure that there's independence and objectivity in the engagement that is being carried out. Does it make sense now?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other question?
No, I leave that much a prayer. If that
Adebayo,
much a
please mute your
prayer.
mic. So any other question for me?
Yes, I do, sir.
Okay, please move on.
Okay, so one of the causes of multiple taxation you mentioned was lack of revenue or funding from other sources. I would love it if you could shed more light on that.
Okay, so again, you would have those people who bear the brunt is local government most of the time, right? So the allocation to local government most of the time before the autonomy was granted by the Supreme Court very recently, used to be handled by the state government, right? And if it is handled by the state government, most of them are always subservient to the state government. So anytime there's conflict between them and the state government, they don't have money. That's one problem. Number two problem is that even some of these local governments and state governments are not independent. So let's just go to states like Zamfara and ask ourselves a good question: that what IGR can Zamfara have without having to collect multiple taxes? What other revenue sources would my village, for instance, my local government in the village have without having to deal with all these transporters unnecessarily? So you will find out that most of them have little or no revenue sources other than that singular source. So, and that will give rise to multiple tax. So, for instance, you realize that some local government charge tenement rate and the state government will charge land use charge. There's no difference in reality, there's no difference between land use charge and tenement rate, except if you want to just try to quote it and then start differentiating one from the other. But there's no real difference to me between land use charge and tenement rate. But again, can any local government survive without tenement rates? The answer will be no. Do you understand my point now? Then that becomes a problem. That's what I was trying to say.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, any other question? Yeah, any other question, please? If you have any question, please go ahead. All right. In the case where we don't have question or questions, permit me to round up this class here. So we'll meet again next week, same time, same station. Do enjoy the rest of your night. Bye.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Happy
And happy
birthday once
birthday
again.
once again.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you very much.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, sir.
Sir, please help us drop the